Hi everyone, welcome to this video. This is a Math 082 video which teaches you how to graph points and lines. In my first video in this section, I already identified the x and y axes and taught how to plot points on a coordinate plane. So this video is only going to focus on graphing lines by generating a table of values. I'd like to mention that in this particular course, there are three, not one, not two, but three different methods that are taught of how to graph lines. As we go through them, you will need to master each one, but generally speaking, in any math course that you have after this, you can choose which of these three methods that you prefer, and you can use any of these three methods at any given time to graph a line. So the three methods, really briefly, are one is just generating a table of values, and that's the one I'm going to be covering in this video. Okay, in the end of this section 1.2, they also talk about finding x and y intercepts, and again I will make a second video or another video to cover that topic. And then in a later section in this chapter, they talk about getting your equation into slope-intercept form, or if it's in slope-intercept form, just plucking out the y-intercept and the slope. So let's get started. So to make a table of values is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to have an x and we're going to have a y, right? And that's going to be our table right there. So just to remind you, this is the x-axis, this is the y-axis. Now I'm probably going to need an equation. So I'm going to steal the equation from the textbook, from example 4. So our equation here is 2x minus 3. So I want to just make the point that this method that we're using, this table of values, is not necessarily the best method. It's certainly not the only method. It might not even be the fastest method. Okay, so if you are more comfortable using a different method, that's fine. I just want to make sure that I cover this since the book covers it and teaches it. Okay, so for our table of values, what we need to do is literally just pick any value for x. Now, as you can see, our graph, our coordinate plane hasn't been labeled yet. So let's just take a minute or two, okay, to number these. Okay, so -1, -2, 1, 2, -1, -2, -3, and so on. Okay, so I can really pick any value for x. I just sort of want it to actually be able to fit on this little graph that I have. So, for example, if I pick the value of x of -50, that's not a very practical number. So let's just start with some negative numbers. Let's put in -1. Okay, so if I put -1 in for x, I'm using substitution. Okay, 2 times -1 is -2. -2 minus 3 is -5. So the first point I have is the point -1, -5. So I'm going to plot that. Okay, so that is going to go right here. As you can see, it's almost falling off of our graph, but that's okay. Okay, then I'm going to just keep increasing x. I'm going to now do 0. So I have 2 times 0 minus 3. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 3 is -3. So I have the point 0, -3. Then I have the point 1. Again, I'm totally making up random values of x. I'm just counting by ones, as you can see. If you choose different values of x, that's totally fine. Okay, so 2 minus 3 is -1. So then we have the point -1. Okay, at this point, you can draw a line. You only need 2 points to make a line. So you could just take a little line here. This is not as easy as you would think it would be to do here. Okay, and you can literally just connect the dots. I didn't do a very great job. And draw the line there. Okay, and it's a good idea to get into the practice of labeling your graph by writing the equation next to the line. And the reason for that is when we get into chapter 2, we are going to be solving systems of equations by graphing. And so that means that you're going to have multiple lines on the same graph. So this is just a nice practice to get into.